Attention all you members of the King's Circle. Welcome to Cocktails with the King. My name is Jonathan Notek.
And I'm Jonathan Porter, and we are both founding members of the Prohibition Tours here in Chicago, Illinois.
And that's right, and over the next several weeks, we're going to take you on a magical journey through the life and times of one George Remus.
Known as the King of Bootleggers, George spent a significant amount of his time building his empire in both Cincinnati and Chicago.
That's right, and I'm so excited to get this rolling. I mean, can you believe that this journey we're going to take people on started with a simple meeting and a phone call?
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Well, this is great news, Sarah. I can't wait to get started. I'm going to call him right now. Thank you. Hey, good news. George Remus Bourbon just pitched us an idea and greenlit this project. Basically what we're going to do is a 10-part series on George Remus's life. The stuff that we normally do on the tour, but this is going to enable us to do sort of like a deeper dive into it. Can you come by the office? Thanks, man. It's good to be me.
I got a great idea for the series. Follow me into the speakeasy.
I love the speakeasy.
All right, so on my way over here, I came up with a couple of ideas, all on my own, that I think are going to be really good for this series. What we're going to do is we're going to go around the city. You're welcome. And we're going to do a deep dive into Remus's life. All right, we're going to go to where he grew up, where he worked, where he went to school.
Sounds
all that.
Like my idea.
But wait, what we're going to actually do is then throw it to a tour company in Cincinnati. It's not just going to be the Prohibition Tours, it's going to be American Legacy Tours in Cincinnati as well. And they're going to do the deep dive in Cincinnati, and we're going to go back and forth. And it's going to be this huge production that's basically going to tell the story of Remus's entire life.
Still sounds like my idea.
When do we get started?
Tomorrow, come to Park and Field. His boyhood home's right around the corner. Hand sanitizer?
Please. Yeah. Pumpkin spice?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 3560. We're here. 3560 Medill, huh?
Yep.
Logan Square?
Yep.
From Western Prussia, New York, Baltimore, Milwaukee. Finally, they land here. It is his boyhood home when he's 8 years old.
Well, kinda. I mean, this is the address. This house was actually built in 1912. He lived here in the late 1880s, but this is the site, and it fits the neighborhood. I mean, this is exactly what the neighborhood would have looked like back then. Back then it was Eastern European, Norwegian, working class neighborhood, but more of the
real
upper
community then, huh?
Yeah, but also a little bit more upper middle class. A hardworking neighborhood to be sure, but this is where the problems kind of start with his family because his father can't find work and it causes a lot of tension. Remus actually goes to work for his uncle in his uncle's pharmacy, and he starts to support the family on his own. It's not long before he's completely supporting the family with the money he makes. And he brings it all back here. He doesn't have a great relationship really with his father at that point, but he's still bringing home his money to make sure that he supports the family. And that's where he starts to get into pharmaceuticals, and that's going to be a huge, huge boon to him much, much later in his life when he starts his bootlegging career.
Understandably, I got it.
Yeah.
His pharmacy was close by, wasn't it?
A few miles south on Milwaukee, yeah.
Can we go?
Absolutely, let's go.
Isn't what we're really talking about here the American dream, coming over as an immigrant child to a country where the streets are paved with gold and pulling yourself up by your bootstraps?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, though, the streets aren't paved in gold. The reality of it is, it was a little bit hard for the Remus family when they got here to Chicago.
Well, absolutely. His father can't find work, and he actually has to go bring home all the money. It
really probably helps to really build his character that he had to do that at such a young age.
Right. Would you say it's the kind of character where someone, I don't know, starts wearing nice suits and gets a haircut?
That's why I cut my COVID hair, and I didn't appreciate that.
Wait, is that why you made me stand on the bridge over the Kennedy for a half an hour yesterday?
Maybe.
John, why the hell am I standing on a bridge over the Kennedy Expressway at 8 a.m.?
Morning, how's the coffee?
Why are we here?
Well, remember how yesterday when we were at his house?
Yeah.
The site of his house?
Yes.
In the same way that that isn't the original house, this is where the original pharmacy was.
Right here.
Right here. Now it's the Kennedy Expressway. So in the same way that his boyhood home is just a new home on that site,
Yeah.
same thing here. 1960, the Kennedy Expressway was built, thereby demolishing the building and the land that it was on.
Okay, so, but that first pharmacy, that's where he works with his uncle, and
That's where he establishes his work ethic. He's
Gotcha.
a 14-year-old immigrant son who adapts this really frugal lifestyle,
Okay.
and instead, as he's sleeping in the business, he's working 24/7 practically, and sending home that money that he's making
Right,
to
he's
help
making
his
it
family.
here and taking it home. I got you. Okay. All right, so obviously the original pharmacy, the first one's not here. Nothing's still here anymore, but this loud-ass expressway. What about the second one? Does that still exist?
We're in luck. It's just a few blocks away from here. We can walk straight north on Milwaukee Avenue and we'll find it. Here's the
Perfect.
deal, though. It's not a pharmacy anymore.
Well, I don't care. Let's get the hell out of here so I can stop screaming. It's too early for this shit, John.
It's the perfect time for this shit.
So we went to pharmacy 2.
Yeah, I mean, look at the new buildings, but then look at this one with this old detail. You can tell that's early 20th century.
That's it.
That's it? That's the actual building?
That's the second pharmacy.
This is the second pharmacy. No
Yeah.
kidding. So it's one of these 3 storefronts? Do we know if it was the whole thing or is it just that one?
Right, I believe it's actually just 1144 right there.
Okay. So the nail salon now.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So yeah, you could definitely tell, like you said, new building, no detail.
Right.
You get to this old building, classic. So, you know, as you knew, New York was a well-established city.
Yeah.
Chicago was becoming a well-established city as well. And they were building, we're one of the fastest growing cities, right? But their goal was
Still
to,
the fastest growing American city ever. Even still at
In
this
that
point.
time, yeah.
In the time period, yeah.
And their goal was really to build more beautifully. It wasn't about just putting up the biggest buildings that they could. They wanted to put ornate details into their structures.
Yeah.
So this is the pharmacy. This is his second pharmacy here.
So this is more like once he had established himself at this point, he's got to be, I mean, this building is obviously built in the early part of the 20th century, so he's established himself at this point, right? I mean, he's a little bit older.
Correct.
At this
correct.
point. Okay.
Yeah. He's no longer a teenager.
Right.
He's an adult. He's establishing himself in the community. We're in now what's Bucktown is what it's considered. His community, Logan Square. These are neighboring communities
Right.
here in Chicago.
Yeah. He's not this. So this still isn't far from where he lives. So I mean, at this point, he's got to be. You know, this is his second pharmacy. People have got to start to know who he is at this point.
Right. If we go back to like when he was working at the first pharmacy, his Uncle
Yeah.
George's pharmacy, essentially he's just a young teenager,
Yeah.
goes to work. He's bringing home money for the family. He adapts this really frugal lifestyle. He's essentially moved into his place of work and he's sleeping there,
Okay.
trying to save up as much money as he can. By the age of 19, he gets the idea to go to pharmacy school. He's not just going to be an employee, he's going to be a licensed pharmacist. And that's going to give him sort of that credence that
Did
he
he go?
craves.
So did he go to pharmacy school here in Chicago? Right.
Yeah, in Chicago. It's the City College of Pharmacy, Chicago College of Pharmacy.
Does it still exist? Is it the same place?
I don't know if it exists, but the location is still there. Actually, you know what? I think it does exist.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely have to check that out. But first, like, I mean, let's talk about what a pharmacy was back in the early part of the 20th century.
It's
I mean,
not like
essentially
it's not like the
fucking-
Walgreens or CVS that you walked into.
Yeah,
these days,
it's snake oil, right?
Right.
A lot
So
of it.
some of the stuff is actually helping patients.
Okay.
Essentially, think of like those old Three Stooges episodes where they've got shelving and bottles, dark bottles on the wall of
Skull and
elixirs.
crossbones on
Skull
them?
and crossbones,
Yeah, okay.
exactly. They're mixing these potions and then boom, there it is.
Yeah.
They're mostly just alcohol and elixirs. It's not curing anything, but it's
Some of
making you
it's
feel a
straight
little bit better.
alcohol and even things like cocaine in there too, right? I mean,
You know, think about this though. It's a trusted business.
that's true. I
This
mean,
is
despite
one of the
it's-
neighborhood trust spots.
It's weird because you have to put yourself back in that time period and realize that what we think of today as being insane, that was completely good medical advice back then. That
Exactly,
was what was trusted.
exactly.
That was what was known.
If you're not sleeping at night, go over to the pharmacy.
Right.
Uncle George Remus will come up
yeah,
with
it's gonna
something
come
for
up
you.
with something for
Yeah.
you to sleep. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, should we go over to see if we can figure out where the pharmaceutical school was?
Yeah, the City College of Pharmacy. It's still in Chicago. I know it's in what's known as the Illinois Medical District.
Oh, so down by like Rush and UIC and stuff like that?
exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
cool.
The building still exists. I'm sure it's very different from when it was, but
Yeah.
let's go check it out.
All right, sounds awesome. A beautiful building, though, isn't it?
It's got character, unlike the rest of the stuff that
well,
went up
right,
around
exactly.
here. Like, look at the Hibner building there.
Yeah.
I love it when like the architect had to put their name on it.
Well, this is certainly a much better location than a bridge over the Kennedy at 8 a.m. I feel like I can hear myself think.
Agreed.
And despite the fact that this is clearly a modern building, the college is still here.
Same location, Chicago College of Pharmacy back then.
So it wasn't UIC back then?
No, it wasn't UIC.
Okay.
Like I said, Chicago College of Pharmacy. It's at a young age, right? Like he's 14, he's working at his uncle's pharmacy.
Yeah.
He's learning all the trades of it, but he realizes in order to be a better person in all this, he has to learn the entire system.
What do you mean by a better person in all of this? You mean like a more knowledgeable?
He wants to know every facet of the business.
Gotcha.
He doesn't want to just know how to stock the shelves, ring up the register. He wants to be a licensed pharmacist. And despite the fact that he drops out of school at the age of 14, by the age of 19, he graduates.
It's so weird to me that, today you can't get looked at a college without a GED or a high school education or whatever. And back then, he just, signs up and
things have definitely changed.
Yeah.
This is going to blow your mind even a little bit more. 10 months after he graduates pharmacy school, he's actually able to be called doctor.
Well, but pharmacists aren't doctors. What do you mean he's able to be called doctor?
So at the age of 19, he graduates pharmacy school, right?
Yeah.
He then enrolls in a 10-month certification to become an optometrist. When he becomes an optometrist, that allows him to do routine eye exams, but more importantly, be called Dr. Remus.
Well, wait a minute. Okay, so we talked about early 20th century pharmacies. Are we talking about our early 20th century doctor as well?
I mean, I guess, right? It's some level of charlatanism
Okay.
mixed in with a level of intelligence, too. And he's doing routine eye exams at this point, so he's not really hurting anybody.
Well, I mean, that's kind of subjective, isn't it? I mean, if he's giving bad advice that could absolutely potentially hurt someone.
He's not doing open heart surgery at
All right,
this
fair
point,
enough.
so.
Fair enough. Well, it sounds to me like what he's learning how to do is work the system. He's
That's
using
exactly it.
Yeah,
yes.
he's using what's available to him to grow his status and be more respected in his own community so that he's thought of at a higher level. I mean, is that kind of sound...
He's finding success in taking ends to manipulate systems, and this would all be laying the groundwork for a future king of bootleggers.
Okay.
When the Volstead Act is written, he's going to analyze that in the same way that he's analyzing things today.
Okay.
And he's going to use that system to elevate his power.
Okay. That's really interesting because, it seems like he starts off as this sort of frugal, hardworking, cares about his family, and the switch that we're gonna see in a really short amount of time is just fascinating to me.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Yeah.
I can't wait to dive into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The best part of going to that location is that it's a beautiful campus. I mean, the buildings, some of them are the old buildings, some of them are new, but it really gives you a sense of what this now world-renowned medical campus is. It's not some fly-by-night school. In fact, God, it's gorgeous. We should really start bringing people over there and kind of show them. It'll give them an idea of what the 20s are like.
Settle down. We're not taking people on our regular tours over to the campus.
I'm just saying, it's a beautiful campus. See? It's gorgeous.
I really like this mortar and pestle though.
Think about how much guacamole you can make in there.
I hate avocado.
Really?
Yeah, I've never liked it.
It's a good fat.
No, that's what they tell me. I still think it's gross.
It's really more of a texture.
Well, that's part of my problem. It tastes like hard snot.
And I stand by that, by the way. It's hard snot. You know what's not hard snot? George Remus bourbon. It's delicious.
I'll drink to that.
Yes, sir. What are we drinking right now?
Remus Repeal Series 4.
I mean, is there any other kind?
Yeah, there's literally 3 series prior.
Well, fair enough.
But
Right,
this one
yeah, you can buy
is
this one in the
available in
grocery
liquor
stores
stores
right now. I feel like we visited a lot of places today, a lot of his old haunts and things, but I do feel like we're just scratching the surface, like there's more.
Absolutely. So many more places we can explore to walk in the king's shoes. I'm just looking forward to doing that over the next several weeks here.
Couldn't agree more, and I will drink to that, my friend.
Sure thing. Are we going to have enough of this Series 4 to get us through the next 5 weeks?
I'll get us another bottle. I got the first one, didn't I?
I'm fine with that.